know me, my name is Barger. I am a American Poultry Association and American Bantam Association licensed judge with a few specialty licenses on there. We're going to be talking about the poultry project, both 4-H and open. So first thing we want to talk about is choosing your birds. Now everything, I want to mention that everything I say today, unless it is quoted out of the book, is a recommendation based on my experience and what I have seen work. Because I say this is the way I would do it, doesn't mean it's the way it has to be done. For choosing birds, I recommend a bantam-sized, clean-legged, colored bird. The reason being, in showmanship, you're going to be holding your bird sometimes up to 15 minutes to half an hour, and that bird can get pretty heavy if it's a big bird. So I recommend bantams for that. Clean-legged because the feather legs can be hard to care for, hard to keep clean. You have to keep the pen full of clean shavings and make sure that the feathers on the legs don't get broken. And a colored bird because white birds are harder to keep clean. So those are my recommendations if you are looking to get a bird to show. There are many different avenues of shows. You've got your 4-H shows at your fairs. You also have open shows that are across the state and on a national level that have showmanship competitions that you can show in. One of the things you're going to want to have is a standard. Now this is the American Poultry Association standard, and this is the American Bantam Association standard. American Poultry Association covers both large and bantam breeds, including waterfowl and geese and turkeys and now guineas. The American Bantam Association just covers your bantam breeds along with your bantam waterfowl. A lot of the information that you're going to need to know on how your bird should look, on many of the questions that will be asked in showmanship, come out right out of the standard, so it's a good thing to have. Standard is a book that carries colored pictures of what the birds should look like. It also has a written description on just every part of the body about the bird. There's a table of points that is allotted per section of the bird, so the back is worth 8 points in type and such. So that's how judges determine the better bird. Our main focus today is going to be showmanship. Now, showmanship is to show how much you have worked with your bird and how knowledgeable you are about that bird. And when you get into the higher levels, you will also be asked questions about other birds. And that's where the standard comes in. I've been showing or judging showmanship for about 35 years now. I base my judging criteria on the 4-H Poultry Show Showmanship Manual that you used to be able to get in hard copy, but now it is available online. You can tell this one's been used a little bit. It has description and pictures of every step that you would go through. And one of the things I want to mention for those of you familiar with rabbits is the difference in rabbits and poultry showmanship is rabbits also have different sections that you have to inspect, but you can do that in any order that you please. In showmanship, there's a distinct order, there's a mandated order that you go through step by step to examine your bird. The score sheet is right out of the showmanship manual, and it's divided into different sections. You have personal appearance of member that you're judged on, how you carry the bird, the examination process, which we will go through today, posing the bird, the quality and condition of your bird, handling the bird in and out of the cage, we'll go through that, walking the bird, and your speaking ability and knowledge. So when the judge asks you a question, you want to make sure that you speak up and speak clearly because you're being judged on that. Okay. I was told that I would need to supply my little bird, so what I did was I grabbed one of my brood fowl who has never been handled. Other than when I got her out and washed her. I am hoping that what that will do is she will give me a little bit of problems that you might experience at home so you can see how we correct it. Okay. So the judge is going to ask you to pose your bird. What that pose is based on is what they should look like according to the standard. So I have what we have with Old English game bantam hen. She should stand, if she stands, with her wings tucked up, her tail at about a 45-degree angle and moderately spread, and she's going to be too calm. I wanted to show you what happens if a bird tries to walk away. If you can't get her to pose exactly the way you want her, you don't want to spend a lot of time during showmanship. That's all she's going to do for me today. I'm going to let her stand, put my hands behind my back to show the judge that you have worked with your bird and you're not afraid of it flying away. Okay? The first step in showmanship is to examine the head. We're going to hold the bird to where I, the exhibitor, can see it, and the judge can also see the other side. So I don't want to hold it like this, because then you can't see the head while I'm looking at it. So hold it to the side, so you can examine the eyes to make sure they're clear. You can examine the comb, the wattles, the beak, and the nostril. One of the things you want to make sure you do is know why you are examining each part of the bird. You're not just going through a step. The next is going to be the wings. You're going to take the wing, and right here at the elbow, you're going to spread them so you can see the entire wing. We are looking for broken wing feathers. We're looking for color. To get to the other wing, you're going to reach across the back of the neck. Spread the wing in the same manner. You're going to look at both top and bottom. Don't forget that. And you can see, I can see the bottom, and so can you. Next is the undercolor. What I see a lot of kids do is just flip the feathers out. What you're looking for is what the undercolor of the entire bird is. So what I like to do is start back here at the cushion, bring my hands up, and look at the undercolor of the complete bird. Next is the width of the back. And what I see a lot of kids do again is just stick their fingers down there and bring them up. We are feeling for the widest part of the back. So what I like to do is stick my fingers right behind the wings, bring it across the bird, find the widest part, and then show the judge. Okay? The next, and a lot of kids find this tricky, and it's really simple once you get to practicing and know how to do it. Next, we're going to examine the breast. And what we want to do is I like to take my thumb and place it behind the bird's head. Because like most of us, if we get tilted forward, we're going to try to correct ourselves. And so is the bird. So I put my thumb behind the head, I bring it against my chest, I roll it, I bring my hand all the way up to the feet so it is completely stretched out. You have complete access to this breast. The judge can see it clearly. You want to take down here at the point of the keel or the breastbone. With your finger, bring your thumb up till you find the end of that breastbone, and then show the judge. You also want to check to make sure that it's straight. You know, bring the bird back into your normal holding position. The next section is the vent. The vent is right below the tail, and so you bring your thumb up and lift the tail up, and you can just take your fingers and spread those feathers, and you can see that vent clearly, and so can the judge. Next is the depth of abdomen. That is a section between the vent and the keel bone. And what that is in the female is where they are going to store that egg before they lay it. And so we want to have a lot of room in there. So you're going to take your fingers, see how many fingers you can fit between the pubic bones and the keel bone, and then show the judge. The next is the width of the pubic bones. So you're going to take your fingers in an upward motion between the two vent bones, pubic bones, and show the judge how many fingers you can fit between them. Next is the leg and feet. You already have the bird in this position, so the easiest way is to just start at the back of the legs. You're gonna run your fingers down. You're feeling to see how smooth the scales are. You're looking for color in some of the birds. You're gonna bring it down the leg, spread the toes out, and then do the second leg. Same way. Then you just gently roll the bird back over and examine the front part of the legs. And same thing. And that is the end of the examination. Now what we want to do again is you don't want to just go through the steps. I've seen kids that know the steps by heart and they just kind of go through the steps. You want to make sure that you are actually examining that bird for the characteristics that we have talked about. So a good phase of the examination would look similar to this. Almost missed a step there. And you're done. So you don't want to take a long time, but you don't want to rush through it. We're going to go over, if I can get, let's set the cage up. I'm going to go over caging your bird. That is one of the steps in showmanship. So when we're caging our bird, we want to make sure that it goes in head first. The reason being is if I'm putting this bird in backwards and she gets excited and flaps her wings or her wings come out, I can ruin the feathers by dragging them backwards across the wire. If I'm putting her in forward and she flaps her wings, it's just going to rub in the direction of the feather and you are not going to damage anything. So what I like to do, I see a lot of kids, because you're holding your bird like this, I see a lot of kids try to stick them in the cage that way, and what ends up happening is they swing them sideways and bring the tail against the wire. If you'll take your bird and place it in your hands in this manner, you will always go forward, face first, into the cage. So you place them in the cage, you're going to give the judge a profile view, try to pose it for a second. Again, this bird hasn't been worked with, so once I have her the way I would, the best that I think she's going to be, I'm going to step back, I'm going to make sure I lock that cage, and I'm going to wait for the judge to indicate that he or she wants me to get that bird back out. Again, we want to come back out head first. So I'm going to reach in, pull her out, put her in the proper holding position, shut and lock the door. Leaving your door unlocked is a big deduction in showmanship. It's kind of like if you have a horse or if you have a pig and you leave the gate open, you've got a lot of problems. Another step to showmanship is walking your bird. Now, hopefully she will give me some problems so I can show you how to correct it. When you're walking your bird, we use a show stick. These can be purchased at Poultry Supply online. It's about the only place we can find them now. They used to be in office supplies, but now laser pointers have taken over, and those don't work very well to get the bird to move. So you're going to pose your bird at the end of the table, again, as well as she will, he or she will. Get your walking stick ready, and our goal is to have her walk a straight line down the table until you stop her without ever touching her. So let's see how this goes. And hopefully I would have trained her to stop and stay when I was done. If she won't, one of the things that is a good thing to work on, if they won't stay where you put them, once she's done, I want her to stay. As soon as she moves, I'm going to put her right back where I had her. Take my hands off her as soon as she moves. I'm going to continue to do that until she stands there. So it's kind of a pressure release system. As long as she's doing what I ask her to do, I'm not touching her. As soon as she moves, I'm going to pick her back up and put her back where I want her. The questions, again, can be asked depending on your level of knowledge. Beginners will be asked basic questions. You should know the breed of your bird. You should know the variety, which is the color of your bird. You should know which sex or gender your bird is based on age. If it is a female and it is under a year, it is a pullet. If it is a female and it is over a year, it's a hen. If it's a male under a year, it's a cockerel. And if it's a male a year or over, it's a cockbird. Okay? Should know the different parts of the bird. The comb, the wattles. Which wing feathers are the primary wing feathers? Which wing feathers are the secondary wing feathers? The hackle. So each area has a different name or designation, and you should know those definitions. Okay, any questions? Yes?
This, I don't know if this would be related to showmanship, but what is like a good width of the not the pelvic, but
The abdomen?
yes.
That is going to be based on the individual bird. The larger the bird, the more space there should be in there. The smaller the bird, the less space. So there really isn't a good space other than as wide as possible. Yes?
What soap would you use on your bird?
Good question. Okay, one of the things that we do before we take our birds to the show is we wash our birds to make sure they're clean and presentable. I like to use just Dawn dishwashing liquid. And all you're going to use is a drop or two just to get enough suds in the water that you can see it. You don't want to have too much soap because too much soap can ruin the feathers. You have two containers. You have a bucket full of soapy water and a bucket full of clean water. And you'll just take the bird in the bucket of soapy water and you dunk it down to its head. You don't want to get its head down in the water because you can get water inside the nostrils and the ears. And you're just going to take the feathers and work them back and forth in the water. Just going to take and softly work the feathers, get the dirt to float out. If you have some stains, if you have some hard dirt in there, you can rub them a little bit. You don't want to go against the grain of the feathers because then you can mess them up. The feet, you're just going to